Good morning and welcome. It's 9 a.m. time to call to order the July 27th, 2023 meeting of the Oklahoma City Trust. Our first item is to approve the minutes of the June 22nd, 2023 Oklahoma City Airport Trust. And I would ask, is there a motion and a second? And the item passes. Okay. Next up, we have the director's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. There are several things I want to cover this morning. First, just to update you on an operational situation we're dealing with at the airport. At our checkpoint the last couple of weeks, the TSA has been replacing out some of their screening machines at the airport. There are 6 of them total, and they're replacing 4 of them. The challenge has been as you bring a new machine in and it's recalibrated and set up, there are startup issues. And so we've had, over the last couple of weeks, days that we've had not 6 lanes running, less than that, sometimes 4, which creates challenges with the checkpoint. The vendor is working on it, the TSA folks are working on it. The TSA local has been great. They responded, they brought in additional people. Fortunately, a couple weeks ago, the TSA started using K9 units at the airport, and we've been using them to help screen passengers in the morning during the peak periods to try to get passengers through. So it's become an operational issue. We've communicated as much as we can, as well as the airlines to their passengers to make sure they arrive early, especially for flights before 7 a.m. So we expect it will be resolved in the near term, hopefully by tomorrow, but it's been an issue we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. I wanted to make you aware of it. Ultimately the situation is they're upgrading the machines that we have to newer technology machines, which are good and ultimately will provide better throughput than the older machines we have. So it's something we want to see happen. The timing is not the best that it's happening during our peak season, so anyway, just something to deal with. Wanted to make you aware of. A couple of things I wanted to also, I put in front of you today. The first one is there's a ASQ departures passenger satisfaction report, and it's in front of you. So as you may recall, we started a passenger survey program through something called ASQ, Airport Service Quality Program, and it's a program that is involved with a number of airports around the world, and we do passenger surveys. Our summer interns go into the terminal with an iPad and pass that to a passenger, and they take the survey, and it helps us gauge how we're doing. So we went through our first quarter of surveys. That's about 350 passengers from all different times of the day for different airlines. And there's a lot of information in here, but what I'll point you to, I think it's page 24, that kind of gives us the snapshot of how we did in our first quarter. And on that page, you can see a number of scores that were received, and you can see overall satisfaction on the scale of 0 to 5. We're at 4.45, so I think we were pretty pleased with that. But you can see the way the questions are laid out based on arrival and check-in and security and shopping, gates, throughput, airport atmosphere. And so it gives you specific scores for each one. A couple areas that I've noticed here that we continue to work on is people are looking for more shopping and dining at the airport, and that's fine. We still are in our development program for our restaurants and gift shops, and that's still underway, so we'll expect that to improve. A couple other things that popped up was Wi-Fi service and access to charging stations, and we were aware of that. We're working on an RFP to update our Wi-Fi service, and also are working to add more charging stations. But I just wanted to give a copy of this to you so you could see what we were able to glean over our first quarter. So this continues. We'll have the report every quarter, and we can gauge ourselves, our performance, and then based on other peer reports, how we're doing. So And then one more thing.
Hey, Jeff, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, sure.
So are we going to be doing, like, as we're going through this, I don't know that quarterly doing the comparisons, but at least annually trying to, like, we mark it, of like where we are on the survey and then looking back and doing comparisons year to year? I mean, it may be in the report. I haven't scanned the whole report yet, but
So, of course, being our first quarter, we don't have our benchmark against ourselves. We'll be able to do that starting next quarter. As far as peer airports, there's a list of airports in the report, Craig, that shows who is all involved. So honestly, I don't know if that information is there yet because it's our first quarter. But ultimately, that is part of the data and how it's used is to say, okay, what was Oklahoma City's ASQ score versus other airports? So ultimately, I think as we get more data, we'll be able to see that. But,
okay, thanks.
yeah.
Director Mulder, I have a question also. When it comes to the shopping and dining, do we know from the data that we have today whether or not that might just be a wayfinding opportunity for us? Like if they're coming in on American, they're not coming up to the options up by the Southwest gates?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
My sense is that they were looking, generally I think airline customers are looking for variety, and that's probably some of it.
Okay.
In regards to wayfinding, though, we are also looking at that separately with the idea of putting in something that you would see at, for instance, like a DFW, where you have those kiosks on the concourse. You can walk up to it, and it's a touch screen, and it shows you where things are located. So we are working on hoping to putting something like that in the airport also.
Okay, and we had talked before, and I know somebody was working on it, so I don't know where we're at on it. The wayfinding in like your Apple Map or your Google Map,
Right.
the look inside is what it is on Apple Maps.
Yep, that's part of our process to update our website, and actually we should be coming to the trust next month with approval with a consultant to update our website. So that's where that is in the process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was parking included in this survey?
I
didn't see it listed.
Yeah, it would be as far as the arrivals. So there would have been some questions of as far as their experience there, and I was curious about that because
It just says ease of getting to the airport, but and as far as the arrival, but I didn't see parking.
I don't know. And Josh and Cassie, two of our interns, are here. Have you guys heard from any of the people that you've taken surveys from? They have mentioned parking? No? I'm certainly hearing from people about parking, but maybe it may not show up in the surveys.
I get a few messages as well.
Yes.
Is it too late to include that in future questionnaires specifically?
I don't think so. The ASQ sends the standard set of questions to all the airports so they have an apples-to-apples comparison. But I don't know I haven't taken the survey myself, so I don't know what all the questions are. But there are quite a few questions in there. I think there are probably 30 questions around that, approximately. So there's quite a bit in there. I'll check that. I'll see if I'm sure there are some specific questions about parking. I mean, that's a big part of the airport experience, so I'm sure that would be the case.
But this is this survey is done by the national organization, so everyone kind of can compare one's airport to the other.
Right, yes. Yeah.
So it might be good feedback to them if you realize there's not enough questions on parking. I would imagine that's a big topic at every airport.
It is, yeah. I'll confirm that, but I'm pretty sure we have questions on that.
Thank you.
Sure. One more thing. So there's a card here at your station, and so this is something that we undertook recently, and similar to what the Transit Authority in Oklahoma City did a couple years ago, is put together a mission, vision, values program. And we have a mission statement as part of the City of Oklahoma City Airports, but I wanted to personalize it and so pulled together a group of employees, about 25 people from different departments around the airport, And their task was to come up with a mission statement specific for the airport system, and then also values. And so what we have here is connecting Oklahoma City to people, places, and possibilities. The idea is, for the mission statement, is, for somebody who's new to the organization or wanted to, what do we do? I think it's more than just we run airports in Oklahoma City. And you think about it, so connecting is the key piece of what we do. If you think about it, we connect families. You see it every day when people arrive and they meet their family members. Great scene. Places, we connect people from Oklahoma City to places all around the world, which is a great value, and it certainly creates quality of life for the community. And the possibilities, I see that as economic possibilities. The fact that we have air service and we have property, it helps the community and the economy. And then the group also came up with the values: safe, open, agile, and reliable. And on the back side, it gives you a little more definition of that. So safe for our customers and employees. We're dictated by a lot of safety regulations, so that's a lot of what we do, and we want a safe workplace and a place for our customers. And then open and ready to make a great first impression for our community. Of course, we're open every day of the year, 365 days a year. We are a front door to the community. We want to make sure things look good and work well. Agile to respond to challenges and opportunities. Every day is different, so you have to kind of walk into the office or your workplace every day and anticipate things aren't going to go as planned, so you have to be able to respond. And then reliable for our tenants, passengers, and coworkers, working together to make sure things get taken care of. So we're using this. We're also using this particular these values we've set up an employee recognition program, and we're giving those as examples for recognition of employees who meet those values. And so we're using that also to promote and facilitate that activity. So, those are the updates I had for now, Mr. Chairman. I did have a couple slides to talk about the parking item, and I can do that now if you want.
Just one second, did you have a question?
No, that's good.
All right.
Really good work.
Okay, we can do that.
Sure. So there is an item on the agenda, and it's item 4Q for the increase in parking rates at Will Rogers Airport. And so a couple slides I wanted to show you. One is this chart shows you in the boxes that are highlighted in yellow what the rates are going to. And I'll back up just a minute just to recount what we had been dealing with. So really, since about the middle of May, our parking facilities, our garage, have been full almost every day. Certainly a sign that passenger activity is back. And we had, pre-COVID, airport staff had already begun planning for some parking additions. Of course, that was stopped during COVID. And part of what we want to do is pick that up and move forward. And as we discussed last month, we're moving forward with adding more covered parking in the short term, and then ultimately starting the design and construction for another garage. And so, and then also, we're thinking about, the capacity issues. And as an example, in the hourly column, you can see that we historically have not charged anything for the first hour of hourly parking. We are at a capacity situation, and so really it makes sense that we should be charging something based on the situation and the activity we're seeing. So that's one of the first areas I'll mention, is we are going to begin charging for that. And when you think about it, the rates that someone pays does influence potentially some activity. And so ultimately we're trying to create more capacity for our long-term parkers. And so we figured it's time to start charging for that first hour. And so it does step up, as you can see, from $2 to $3, and then ultimately $30 for if someone stays in the hourly all day. Premium is another product that we have at capacity on a regular basis, and so we are adjusting those rates. And I will have another slide that shows the comparison of where we are at versus our peer airports. And go back to the first one though yet, Tanya. I'm not. Oh. And the economy lot, which is our surface lot that you access via shuttle bus, we are keeping that. We don't have a capacity issue there, and we are sensitive to the cost for parking. And so for those who are cost sensitive, that price is not changing. The long-term surface lot, which is the area just north of the parking garage, goes up from $7 to $8. Our covered, which is the canopy parking, goes up from $9 to $12. And that's the product that we're going to be adding an additional lot to, another 400 to 500 spaces. I already mentioned the hourly, and the garage, we're going from 12 to 15. And then if you go to the next slide, Tanya. And so we did a little research on how we compare with other airports. There's the hourly rates, and you can see it's pretty consistent. The $2 are with many of the airports that are in our region or are similar to our size. Not every airport has premium parking, so we have some comparisons, but you can see we're pretty much in line with some of the other airports that have it. And then the garage daily, we would be going to $15. Tulsa's at $14. Many airports are at $20. There are several that are a little bit below that, but you can see the range there that we are certainly in the range of our peer airports if these proposed rates were to take effect.
Jeff, thank you for that. I appreciate that comparison. And then the other question I just want to make sure is that if somebody drives into parking today, can't find a spot, they can still get out without having to pay?
Yes,
Okay.
I see my head's nodding in the audience to confirm
Okay.
that, yes, that is the case.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. We're doing some things just operationally to try to help. We've put a sign up at the intersection of Amelia Earhart and Meridian, which is about a half mile before the airport, and the sign says garage closed. So we give our customers at least a heads up that don't drive all the way to the garage because it's already full, so they hopefully would then use one of the other parking products. But anyway, the memo that's included in the packet talks about a number of things that we are planning to do, as I mentioned already. Expanding the canopy lot, which is something that we hope to have complete for next season. The addition of another parking garage, which would be a $40+ million effort, but we feel the time is right to move forward on that. Other things that we have in upgrading the existing facilities, but we feel the time has come that the activity is definitely back, and it's part of that travel experience for the customer. We want to make it more of a certainty that they can find parking as opposed to struggling when they come to the airport.
This all looks good to me. The one thing I mentioned at the last meeting, I'm hoping when we get our new website that we can deal with the online reservation where we can charge more, and then you can get refunded if you're not going to use the parking. That was my only thought, is this the $5 online reservation fee for the premium is pretty low. Just so there's an incentive to just use that, and what could happen is right now someone can reserve the premium parking that reserve space for $5 for 10 days and not come.
Right.
So for $5, they've kept us from earning $300.
Right.
And it's not a big. There's not many spaces that happens. But when I am in that garage, I notice quite a few open reserve spaces. So I'm just wondering if that's happening, that people are using the $5 is easy. Who cares? I'll block it out for 2 weeks, and then I only use it for 3 or 4 days, or I don't use it at all. That may not be happening that much. It may be just a story I'm telling myself, but I think it is something to consider, how to get that refunded. And so you need to make that fee like $25 to make it worth your while to go online and get a refund.
And I think the system we have that we use, the reservation system, has some limitations operationally what we can do. But as I had mentioned previously, we have a proposal from our current parking operator to implement a reservation system-wide, and hopefully that would also can update our reservation system for premium parking that has some limitations today. So
Okay, good.
yeah, so we evaluated and we're having some conversations. I hope that we can make a decision here in the near term and then roll that out with a website update. Then so the customer can go to the website, make a reservation, and do all their parking business in advance. Offer more flexibility as the things you described. Right, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We don't want someone tying up a spot if they're not going to use it for sure.
Great.
Well,
Yeah,
and
thank
that'll-
you.
And that'll hopefully apply system-wide, because if we're rolling out reservation system-wide, then somebody's going to do the same thing in the other lots that they're doing in the premium lot, and then we've got a bigger issue.
Agree.
Okay.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're just going to have to make that reservation fee just a little bit more. I don't know what the balance is. What would cause someone to go back online and get it back? So is that $10 or 50 or 20 or, a little bit of figuring out what that
There-
would take?
A number of airports have a parking reservation system, and so there certainly are lessons learned, I'm sure, that we can glean from and figure that out when we set ours up.
Sure.
That's it.
Included. Okay. All right, that concludes the director's report. We'll move on to the next item, which is the Will Rogers World Airport.
So item A is the final acceptance for the terminal building upper level deck structural repairs. Item B is a professional services contract for the Federal Inspection Services facility build-out. Item C is ratification and approval for Amendment 1 to headquarters building envelope repairs at Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center. Item D is 2023 registry building slab repairs at Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center. Amendment 1, item E is Amendment 1 with MacArthur for Terminal Apron South Phase 1 design. Item F is Amendment 4 with Kimley Horn for airport parking facilities revenue control study, an increase of $49,980, and to amend certain other items and conditions. Item G is Amendment 5 with Do-It Construction for rehabilitation, reconstruction runway 1331. Item H is Amendment 7 with Lochner for airport wayfinding and signage. Item I is Amendment 9 with ADG terminal building upper level deck structural repairs. Item J is change order number 9 with Wind Construction or terminal building roof repairs. Item K is to approve plans and project manual for multi-building, multi-bay maintenance facility addition. Item L is approved plans and project manual for Thomas P. Stafford Emergency Generator Replacement, Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center. Item M is ratification approval of Amendment 1 and resolution rejecting bids for terminal building additional wayfinding and signage, and then approving plans and manuals submitted to terminal building addition wayfinding and signage for authorization and advertisement for bids. N is release of claims against Oklahoma Roofing and Sheet Metal, Gallagher Bassett National Fire Insurance for weather damage to terminal building in connection with roof repairs. O is agreement aviation support and services with Visalia Inc. Item P is first renewal lease agreement and fuel storage agreement with Devon Energy. Item Q, joint resolution of the City of Oklahoma City Airport Trust adjusting Will Rogers Airport public parking rate schedule effective September 1st, 2023. Item R, ground service agreement with Paris Limousine of Oklahoma. Item S, ground service agreement with Thompson Black Car LLC.
Okay. You've heard the request for approval for Will Rogers World Airport. Is there a motion and a second? And the item passes. Next up, we have Wiley Post Airport.
And we don't have any items there, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
so
nothing
I'll go
there.
right to item 6.
Okay, we'll move on to Clarence C. Page Airport.
Item A is ratification amendment to numbers 1 and 2 for install 12,000-gallon self-serve avgas system at Clarence Page Airport and awarding construction contract to Globe Construction in the amount of $676,865. Item B is a joint resolution authorizing the director to submit grant application for this same project, for the airport construction program, replace PAPI light bars at runway 17 right, 35 left, and 17 left, 35 right, to the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission. And then item C is assignment and assumption agreement with the Martin Kuber Family Revocable Trust and Burton RE Holdings.
Okay. You've heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and a second? And the item passes. Okay. Next up, we have general.
Item A is professional legal services agreement with Ryan, Whaley, Cold Iron, Jansen, Peters, and Weber for specialized environmental counsel.
Okay. Do we have any questions or motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, we have easements.
And the item A is the abrogation easement for Southwest 119th Street. Item B is an abrogation easement for Orion Property 3 LLC, 8,000 Northside Drive.
Okay. You've heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, we have item 9, requisitions. It's a resolution rectifying the actions of the Director of Airports in approving requisitions previously paid. And then B, a resolution approving requisitions dated July 27, 2023. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, are there any comments from trustees? Okay. Any staff wishing to be heard? Did you get any requests from citizens?
Mr. Chairman, I do
Yes.
want to recognize Dan Goodman, who's here, and staff, and who is retiring this week after many years with the city. So Dan, thank you for your service to the city and the airport. Appreciate it.
Well, Dan, stand up and take your one bow before you go. Good to have you. Thank you for your service. And with that, we are adjourned.